welcome. Thank you guys for coming out. I'm just going to jump right on into it and tell you a little bit about LEAP. For those of you that are coming for the first time, LEAP is basically giving the students at North Carolina Central an opportunity to leap a little bit further in their careers. And it's not just centered on the music side. I've had a chance to meet so many different people through all facets of life and career, from comedy to acting to film to business, that I wanted to bring something more to North Carolina Central to give the students in here that they wanted to do something in the entertainment field an upper hand. So we partnered with the university and we've created LEAP, and now we have LEAP Talk, which is basically me bringing in subject matter experts in their field of business or field of comedy, field of film and other stuff. And today we have two incredible boss women, and because this is Women's History Month, I thought it would be fitting to have these two ladies here today. So we want to welcome to the stage. Oh, are you doing it? Oh, it's me. It's all me. We're going to welcome to the stage. I got this. We're going to welcome to the stage Yvonne McNair and Shakiria Howie. Welcome to the stage. We'll put you in the middle.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Awesome. So we're going to make this real comfortable. We're going to jump right on the end to this, and I'm going to start with Yvonne. Yvonne and I have incredible history together with working with so many different artists. I met her working with Liv Warfield and also with Prince. She does a lot of great things, and I don't want to destroy her titles, so I'm going to pass it over to her. So Yvonne, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Sure. So thanks for having me, Marcus. Oh, use the handheld?
Yep, sorry.
Okay, sorry. All right. All right, thank you for having me. So my name again is Yvonne McNair. I'm the CEO of Captivate Marketing Group, and I create cultural experiences in music and entertainment. So I work with a lot of artists, a lot of brands, to produce very large-scale events.
No, you do more than that. But anyway, we'll circle back to that. The short version. Okay, Shaq, tell us a little bit of who you are and what you do.
So we're keeping the short version, right? Sister got 12 jobs.
Yes.
Amen. So I'm Shakiria Howie, affectionately known as Shaq, and I am the digital content strategist and lead for the NACP Image Awards. I work on large-scale productions as well, and also lead content strategy for Black College Live, a ESPN property.
Nice. So like Shaq, you did a lot before that, and then before I got into where I am now, Shaq used to style me when I was working with Prince, and she did a lot of different things that helped me get remembered. But like before you actually got into doing the stuff with Black College Live and working with ESPN, like how did you get to that? What was your journey to get to that point in your career?
There was a lot of leaps, not to even be cliche about it. A lot of leaps and taking risks, believing in myself. But from Charlotte, North Carolina, you don't see a lot of examples of the creative aspirations you have. So you hold it in, and I went off to college thinking, how can I ground my creative pursuits in something that's more honorable and traditional that my parents would accept? So I ended up studying business and marketing at NC State, Wolfpack, and after I graduated, I went into corporate America for about 8 years, and I was suffocating. And I knew that I needed to make a change for me, and that moment in my life that kind of changed everything was moving to Los Angeles. And from that point, it was like, let me get in an environment that I feel like is big enough to kind of contain what I feel like was inside of me, and also the things that I don't even know about me. But I can go to a place where nobody would say, oh, that's crazy, or you can't do that. Who does that? If I wake up today and I want to do a styling gig, or if I want to work on a production, I felt like being in LA would at least present me opportunities, and that's what happened. That's the quick and dirty.
So you got to LA just from like, you know what, you made a decision, you're gonna go to LA, and then things happen, or were there stuff before that kind of got you there?
I mean, I think everything sort of prepares you for where you're going. So everything was pivotal, from my major to me trying to create a minor because I wanted to do design, but design wasn't available to me. So what do? I want to have an online magazine, but there's no course for that. So I created my own minor and started to do independent study with professors. And so all the things that I couldn't articulate, okay, so girl, you wanted a blog? That language didn't exist. You wanted an online blog? Okay. So meeting with people outside of my professors to like tell my dreams to, and they say, okay, I don't know that I can give you that here, but this is what you can do. So all of those steps kind of led to me having the confidence to say, I don't know anybody in this big city. I'm gonna take the skills that I know, the confidence that I have, my education, because I gotta get a job and pay these bills out here, and I'm just gonna go. And I slept on a friend's couch. It was very hard and challenging in the beginning, but I mean, it's paying off. It's continuing to pay off. Everything counts. There was no job too small, no course that was insignificant. I'm thankful for every PowerPoint presentation that I worked on, every bit of Excel that I mastered, because those have been the things that people say, oh, she's valuable, that make you sticky. Everybody's creative. When you get in a place like that, everybody's stylish and beautiful, but what can you do in work ethic? What can you provide that's different? All of that came from training, high school, middle school, being looked over, being passed up for promotion. All of those things come into play when you're trying to navigate the entertainment business.
Yeah, that's great. I slept in a car, by the way, so we got something in common.
We're not doing it, okay?
Yeah, I slept in the car part of my career just to kind of get ahead. You know, just there was no job too small or too large, so we got that in common. Sleeping places. I'm going to pivot over to Yvonne, and one thing I've always admired about you, Yvonne, is that you've always just figured out a way to make things happen. And the joke is, like, she doesn't sleep. And when we used to work with Prince, and we were posting and reposting stuff, Yvonne was just retweeting. It didn't matter what time of day or night, you retweeted everything. And I'm like, when do you go to bed? 1 a.m., retweet. 5 a.m., retweet. So you do a lot of amazing things, but like, what was it for you that got you to be so driven and to be so successful to where you are now?
Well, for me, I always talk about that I went the non-traditional path. I went away to college and ended up getting pregnant, and so left. And when you have a child young, people automatically count you out, and they think that you're not going to graduate. You're not going to have multiple kids. You're not going to be successful. So even my own parents were kind of counting me out, and so I was like, I'm going to prove everybody wrong. And went back to school with my son, and I got 3 degrees. And I've just worked really hard. One, to show others that I could do it. One, to show my son I could do it. And so I've just always been really driven. I'm very internally motivated. I don't need anyone to kind of hype me up. In the morning, I'm like, you got this. I hype myself up. And so I always just feel like there's nothing that I can't accomplish. There's nothing I can't do. I've obviously had highs and lows in my career, but I just push through, and I know that I can accomplish anything that I put my mind to. The only person, that's going to stop me is me. No one else has the ability to do that. And so I just think that, just my entire career, it's just been the non-traditional path.
Yeah, because you always had, sorry, I keep cutting off the claps. But you've always had a way of just being able to, all right, Yvonne, we got to create this show. Can you produce this, tonight? Or we got to get on this television show. We get a lot of no's in our field, and I guess especially Black women, you have to jump extra leaps and bounds to be able to get to the level of success. So I really admire that with all the adversity that you guys get. How do you get past that being a woman of color and in the entertainment field? What ways can you, or what advice can you give to women that are trying to leap into something else?
Yeah, absolutely. For me too, because I always had in the back of my mind people counting me out, I looked at people who were doing what I wanted to do. And I was like, well, what do they have? Okay, they have a degree, I'm getting a degree. They have a certification, I'm getting a certification. Anything that those people had, those successful people had, I said, I'm gonna get those things too. And so for me, when I go into a room, I feel that I should be there. That's one. I'm confident about my skill set because I've done the work. And so I'm not going to take no for an answer. And I know that I have the ability to listen and find out, what do people really want? How do we make this mutually beneficial? I'm not the type of person that's looking for just how do I gain? I'm like, how are we both going to win at this? And when I understand by listening first, when I understand what people are looking for, then it's easy for me to figure out how we can make it work. And that's really been my key to success, is making sure it's mutually beneficial and not just thinking about me. And also I want to say that I just don't focus on money also. you know, that's really been the key to my career. I've always felt like it's going to come if I do the good work. It's going to come if I have work ethic and I have integrity. And that's really been the key to my success, where it's like when someone calls me and they're like, well, how much am I gonna get paid? I'm kind of like, we're probably not gonna work well together, because it's how am I gonna benefit? What am I gonna learn? How is this gonna improve my career? And so those are things that I look at first when I'm taking a project. It's not always about money for me. It's about what I can gain in other ways, what makes me feel fulfilled.
Yeah, that's great. I can clap. So Shaq, I mean, same question, if you remember it. Basically, like, being a woman of color, like, how did you get to the point where you are now with all the adversity that set before you?
I echo a lot of what she said in terms of character development. Knowing who you are before you get to where you want to go will help you to be kind of insulated against the stuff that happens. Rejection, okay, you said this project wasn't good enough, that doesn't mean that I'm not good enough. So I'm going to take my project to somebody else who can see the value in it. You know, you're not tall enough, you're not this enough, it can get like that. But if you know who you are, you just keep going. And I think the endurance is the part for me. Like, my character's not going to change, it's just going to get stronger. I'm going to keep going regardless of closed doors, because I only need one to open, and once I'm in, I'm knocking it out the park. You gonna want me back, you know? And so, yeah, like, I've been blessed and also a little bit spoiled in the opportunities that have come. I've worked with our people, you know, working with the NAACP, that's our people. Doing Black College Live, going to amazing HBCUs like this one. It's our people. It doesn't change the obstacles of being underestimated as a woman. Even a short woman, you know, you have to kind of come out of yourself and just be bold and like stand firm in who you are. A major part of it is just advocating for yourself. It doesn't matter. As a woman, I'm gonna advocate. I'm gonna speak up, not just for me, but for the women coming after me, the people I wanna bring on my team. So it's just, there's a shy me and there's a me that has to speak and advocate, because if I sit back, then anything will happen, and I can't let just anything happen.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I always, I love watching Scandal when it was on, and Daddy Pope was like my favorite character off of that. And he used to tell Olivia all the time when she would do stuff, he would remind her, what do I always tell you? What do I always tell you? She goes, have to be twice as good to get half of what they got. But it seems like y'all have been, you know, quadruple, you know, because the amount of success you guys have gotten is incredible. You know, I watch all of your posts, I see the places you're going, you know, the places you've been, the people you're working with, you know, from Essence, you know, to, you know, ESPN, to NAACP, you know, you have a new festival like that you're working on right now. Tell me about some of the current stuff that's happening to you guys.
Sure. So, yes, I used to be a producer on Essence Festival. I started in 2014 by bringing Prince to Essence Festival. And then after that, my role grew every year. So by the time I left in 2020, I was producing the main stage. I was booking 95% of the talent that you would see on the main stage. I was booking the Super Lounge, and I also created the After Dark series, which took over the city of New Orleans. I'm originally from New Orleans, so it expanded the footprint. And what happened is, you know, leadership changed. And despite all of the success that I had and the artists that I was bringing to Essence Festival, once the leadership changed, they didn't even know I existed. And so it's kind of like, you know, if you don't have a seat at the table, you create your own. And so I have my own festival now. And the festival is going to be, it's called the Harlem Festival of Culture. I'm partnering with 2 other individuals. And it's July 28th through the 30th in Harlem. It is the reimagination, if you saw the Summer of Soul documentary, which was the festival in 1969. Questlove won the Oscar for it. And so I took everything that I learned, not just from that festival, from other festivals where you go into the city and you're only there that weekend. You don't have an impact on the community. So we have created a program where we engage the community all year long. We're working with small businesses to help them scale, to give them funding, you know, and just created a full, you know, schedule of events to really impact the community. And then we have the music festival. And since I booked all the talent for Essence Festival, all those people are coming with me now. And so I'm super excited because initially I was really sad because working in New Orleans at a Superdome where I would go as a child, you know, was always very special for me. But, you know, change happens for a reason. I didn't own Essence Festival. I was contracted to work on Essence Festival. So now it gave me a really great opportunity to have my own. And so I'm super excited about the festival to come.
That's great. I got a question I'm gonna pivot back to, but I wanna give Shaq an opportunity. So what's new with you right now? What are you working on?
So I've just finished a very hectic award season, and I made it out alive. So that's really, really fresh. And so I always like to take a minute to decompress after that, because it's a long 6 months of meetings and planning, and also to celebrate, like, girl, you did it again, you know? But that won't last long until I'll go into doing more digital content production for the NCAA, hopefully. And NACP convention is coming up, and Black College Live will be coming again. And I'm just really getting into a space Yvonne is talking about, which is ownership. So I'm trying to develop my business in a way that I can bring on more creatives to work with me and start to kind of build my client base a little bit more. So.
Nice.
Thank you.
Since we're talking on the subject of ownership, how important is ownership to you too? And how, along the process, how valuable are relationships with getting to the point of ownership?
Me first?
Yeah.
You know, ownership is really important to me, because over the years, I found that I was helping everyone else build their brand, and I was helping people, you know, sell those ideas and concepts that I was giving them for millions of dollars, and I wasn't seeing that. And so I finally just said, you know, after taking some time to reflect, really, after Essence and a couple other projects that I decided weren't for me, I took some time and I figured out, well, the only way that's going to stop happening is by having ownership. Yeah. And so that was really important to me to have that. And then in the second part about relationships are really critical to my business. You know, I make sure I follow people when they're high or low. You know, there's talent that, you know, they're not on the charts and nobody's booking them, but I still book them. And so those relationships have really helped me all along the way. You know, I protect my relationships. I make sure I follow up with those relationships. And as I'm doing this festival, even so, everybody's like, what do you need? You know, how can I be a part? What can I do? And that's because of the job that I've done to really, you know, make sure those relationships remained intact over the years.
That's great. That's great. Shaq.
Ownership is everything. That's goals. So I'm inspired already, but ownership means everything. And in terms of relationship building, I literally wouldn't even be on this stage if it wasn't for relationships. I mean, getting me to this point, the people I've met, it's amazing. And I take their number, you know, let's follow up. Let's not get a selfie. Let's exchange phone numbers and email addresses. And but I always approach it like getting to know people, the least that you might think in a room to the most important people in the room. And that really has helped. I mean, personal assistants of the person that everybody wants to get to. They have so much power. Like, who's closer to Queen Latifah than her assistant? Hey, assistant, how you doing? Right. I'm Shaq, nice to meet you. And then being in LA, it's really tempting for people to say, well, what do you do? Which always is cringeworthy. I'm like, that Southern thing kicks in, because it's like, no, who are you? Like, what do you enjoy? What's your hobbies? Okay, well, I like fried food too. Let's go to a soul food restaurant. And then you discover, oh my goodness, this person is the executive of such and such, you know? That's how it's happened in my life. Those doors that have been open for me have come from just genuine relationships. And then, you know, the next part of relationship building is to have your ask, what do you need? Always know. Because I've been in a position where I didn't know, and I met an executive and like, well, how can I help you? What do you really want to do? This is great, but what's next? And I'd be like, and that's not good. So make value of those relationships. When people ask you what you need, no, have a whole list.
I need $1. You got $1? I need $1. You know that song?
For a small fee.
But no, so next part is like, can you tell them about like how great I am and like working with me and how it enhanced your life? No.
How much time do we have?
No, but I guess what I'm hearing and all the stuff you guys are saying when it comes to relationships and kind of staying relevant, it's about being present. And we talked about it last week when I had my smaller league talk. It's about a lot of times we get in front of this is barrier. You know, we're in the phone, even when we're at concerts, we're live and all you see is cameras and everything. People are just kind of looking through their camera, but like you got to put that down and be present in the moment and like talk and.
You trying to take my job away from me?
No, I'm not trying to take your
Put
job
my
away.
camera down? Put my phone?
We need that, but I think, you know, we don't want to lose the physical touch of being in front of people and feeling a presence and being able to make eye contact, which is just something, you know, is a lost art form, I believe, of being able to talk to someone and look at them in the eye. You know, something that I want the younger generation that's coming up to understand, like, this is great that you can work in this, but then when we get face to face, how do we operate, you know, with each other? How do we have a basic conversation that's not just through text, you know? But I had another question and it left me. I started talking about myself. But the next thing I want to say, for any younger, you know, person that's wanting to be where you are now, what is like the biggest advice or takeaway you can probably give them today?
I mean, don't ever give up. I mean, you know, you had said, I don't know if it was at dinner, but we always talk about the highs, but not the lows. And, you know, I really have had some incredible lows where I felt like I was going to lose everything. And, you know, I did not give up, and I was resilient and I was persistent, and I made sure, you know, that if I was asking someone to advocate for me, that I delivered on what I wanted them to advocate for me, or if I was asking someone to mentor me in some way, that I was respectful of their time. You know, for me, it was about, you know, just making sure that I kept moving, you know, and no matter what happened, you know, I kept moving. So every single day, you know, when our business was at a low, I was doing something to move it forward. And it didn't happen immediately, but once it did, it did. And so, you know, thankfully, you know, my business is like at the highest point that it has been, and it's, you know, still looking even brighter for me over the next few years. So, you know, it's just not giving up. I just never, you know, just giving up was never an option for me.
That's good. Shaq.
This is a really important question. And I'm just going to take a little time
Go
because
ahead.
this generation needs to hear.
Okay.
To the extent that you can, focus on building your character more than your following. Like, to the extent that you can. It's hard because social media is a thing, and I know I profit off of it, amen. But it's really important to disconnect your self-worth and your value, your identity from those numbers that you see on social media. As somebody who works in it, it's not real, or it will transition on to be something else, but who you are as a person, that's you. That's what you can monetize. That's what you can, that'll go before you. That's what opens the doors. Those numbers will go up and down. It doesn't matter. Like, who you are is who you are. The other thing I would tell you is, initially, it may take time for people to recognize your brilliance. That's okay. Because as long as you know, don't you be the last one to value who you are. Don't you be the last one to recognize your own creativity, your intelligence, your, you know, everything that makes you you. It'll take people some time, but they'll just be late to the party. As long as you know, you can do anything. Can't nobody tell you nothing about who you are. Like, invest in that, know why you're made, and you'll be unstoppable.
That's great. That's great. I want to take a second and open up the floor to a couple of questions that anyone may have, because I know you guys have a wealth of knowledge, and I want to leave enough room for people to ask questions if they would like. So, we have anyone that want to ask Yvonne or Shaq any questions? Any youngsters? Yes, sir.
I majored in business management and marketing, and I minored in journalism.
Yes, sir.
What gave me confidence? You want to go first?
Sure. You know what? I think failing and getting back up. And, you know, I want to keep emphasizing that because I think sometimes because of social media, people see something and they form a perception like, oh, it looks so easy. You know, but I think that every time I got back up, it built my confidence even more.
Same thing, you know, failing, learning every step of the way, and really getting good at serving greatness. You'll see a lot. You'll get confident, like, okay, I see how they handle this and that. I'm gonna serve, I'm gonna be great, I'm gonna learn from greatness. And you're like, they succeeded, I can too. Same principles.
How do you not, how have y'all not, like, burn out, or if y'all have burned out, how did y'all get out of that, like, I guess, like, regaining your passion for something that you
Yes, we burn out. I definitely do. And I think that like the last time I did was, the end of last year. I felt really defeated, even though it was like I was having success, but I wasn't happy with some of the clients I was working with. And I just took some time, to just have a mental break, refocus, writing. I meditate. I do all the things that, to try and just like reset my mind, because I really was in a place where I just felt like I'm just gonna go live on an island somewhere and like sell coconuts or something like that. I didn't know what I was gonna do anymore. But yeah, it's just taking a break. Sometimes you just need to pull away from everything and just refocus.
Same. I get away. For me, New York is a place that's recharging for me creatively, so I'll sneak away to New York. In LA, I would go to places, art museums, anything to kind of get my wheels turning, and then decompressing from work, because you need it. You do go through burnout, and so decompression for me, I'm an introvert too, so when I people a lot, I'm like, Lord, just get me somewhere where I can breathe. Get a massage, go breathe, go sit by the water, and I'll be all right after like 2 weeks.
That's good. Yeah, so I'm gonna repeat your question just so we can get it in the mic. Well, what's your question?
Like, what has been y'all's favorite aspect of your career? Like, the favorite things you got to do because of your career?
So what is your favorite aspect and favorite things, one more time? Say it again. That your career has afforded you.
Favorite part or the favorite thing that's happened after the part? Like, okay. So honestly, the last season, because my team collapsed, I got to get behind the camera, which I really enjoy. Photography is a hobby, and so anytime I get to bring in a hobby into work, it's great. So I got to shoot the red carpet, which was like, I've done it before, but this time felt different. And throughout all the stress, at the end, I was like, yo, that was so exhilarating. Like, that fed me. So that helped me, it carried me through. So that's been really rewarding. And of course it goes viral, and who doesn't like that? But just getting the opportunity to just actually execute instead of oversee, like, it's a vibe. And then afterwards, money's great, pays the bills, travel is great, but it's the memories that you get, and then getting to be here and share that with people like you. So that's amazing.
So, I create experiences. So it's always amazing to see how people respond to those experiences. I like to just kind of sit in the back when I do an event and just watch how people take it all in. I've created a lot of historic moments that I know that people will cherish forever. Even working with Marcus, an event I just told him about, and Marcus is amazing. But we just talked about, was a show that we had at City Winery, and with Prince. And after he passed away, everyone was posting that show, and so it just made me feel so good, because we created, this amazing memory for people that were in the room, because it was only like 600 people in the room for this show, but it just spread that people were passing it along. So it's like when you see your experience take a life of its own and be pushed out in that way, it's so rewarding and just feels really good.
Nice. Yeah. You had a question? Yes, sir.
I'm Josh Pickens. I'm a music industry major here, and my question is, what's the hardest thing that y'all had to endure while trying to be recognized?
What was the hardest thing that you had to endure
What, trying to what?
while trying to,
Recognized when you want to come up.
or when trying to be recognized?
For me, it is people stealing my concepts all the time. I have seen people posting events like they were their own. And so that's the hardest, because I was really more comfortable being behind the scenes. So it was like I wasn't doing it, so then people started doing it. So the hardest part for me was having to come out and start saying, like, that's actually mine. So it had to push me out of my comfort zone to be more in front of the scenes and doing stuff like this even. This was something I would say no to years ago. But because of the fact that I saw people who, were taking credit for my work, and then also someone said to me, how do you inspire young women like you if you stay behind the scenes? So I had to come out of my comfort zone to be able to do that. So I'm proud to be able to inspire others.
I haven't made it yet, So, first of all, let's be very clear. Same thing. There's a lot of when you're in board meetings and everybody's brainstorming and you throw out something and it actually gets executed. It's so interesting how that credit cannot come back to you. Or you create moments for your clients that gets them whatever their goals are, you reach it. And there's a million people that get thanked and you're like, oh, is my name?
Oh,
Nope.
you're preaching now.
Oh, oh, you forgot to tag. Okay, all right. So it's constantly just brilliant ideas that makes people, it just gets them where they want to be, but they just forget that, because it's, oh, that's Shaq. I hear that so much, you know. Oh, that's just Shaq. No, that's just a multi-million-dollar idea that came from somebody in your boardroom that happens to be Shaq, you know. Mm-hmm. So getting your ideas co-opted, your credit not given, that's a way of not giving you the money that you're worth. So all of that is hard. Rejection is always hard, but that's a part of it. But the part is when you get in the room and they're just like, take your stuff, and nobody knows. So.
Nice, that's great. We had another question in the back. Yeah, I got you next. Yes, sir.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
My question was, I just remember, who are your biggest inspirations as growing up that pretty much inspired you to do what you guys do now?
Who are your biggest inspirations that inspired you to do what you're doing now?
That's hard. I mean, it wasn't like a celebrity or anything. I mean, I was very inspired by my grandmother, who worked very hard. And so she, I think, you know, I think I take after her the most. So, I mean, I feel inspired by her. So it's not like a celebrity or anything. It's more family.
Literally, my grandma was my best friend,
Mm-hmm.
and she taught me so much. And then my father, who is no longer with me, but huge inspiration. Is like not really a celebrity, but I mean I can give you some names because y'all, you know, that's the culture. So in fashion, I love June Ambrose, and everything else, I love Michelle Obama. Sarah Jakes is cool. Like Diddy's great. Janelle Monáe is stylish. Like there's so many people who do great work. You know, so those are some names.
That's great. I think Snoop Dogg said it best that I want to thank me. Me for getting me here. You know, me for doing all the, I'm just kidding.
Right.
You had a question right up front, but I think she's texting.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Raylan Davis. I'm also a music industry major. What are some ways that you guys want to advance or like innovate your area of your career? I don't know.
What are some ways you want to advance your area, your career? So I guess being like maybe a pioneer or an innovator or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I want to keep doing creating historic moments. As a Black woman producer, there are not a lot of me's. I want to be able to also bring young Black women into production as well. So I do a lot of mentorship on that aspect. But for me, I just want to keep creating moments that people talk about, and I'm doing that by, you know, expanding my network of who the artists that I work with, expanding the venues I work in, the territories I work in. So all of that is advancing my career in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll be quick. For me, I'm kind of in a spot of pioneering a little bit, but as a multi-hyphenate, you just want to show other people what's possible and that you don't have to just wear one hat. You can wear many, and then most importantly, leave the door open for other people to come behind me. That's revolutionary. It's not a lot of Black people or Black faces on these red carpets, and not a lot of Black people behind the scenes on a lot of productions. So that's revolutionary to be able to say, yes, there's me, but listen, there's like 10,000 more, there's 500 more, there's 50 more who are gonna come in and change the game, gonna write the songs. I work in music sometimes, gonna produce the videos, gonna make the treatments, gonna run the productions, gonna do all of this behind the scenes. It's gonna be our people, so. And we're gonna do it all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, love it. Let's jump over here. Say that one more time. What advice do you have? What advice do you have for maintaining longevity in your career?
Have integrity. That's pretty simple. I mean, like I said, I don't do things just for money. I think carefully about any project that I take, any person I partner with. I think integrity is what really will take you the furthest than anything else, and work ethic.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Character, work ethic, take you far. Humility is great. You know, like I said, nothing's too small at first, especially when you're an unknown. So work hard. If it's like a beginner project, work it like it's the one on your vision board. If you're a photographer and they want you to take a picture of a box of cheese, make that the most amazing picture of a box of cheese you ever seen. If you want to be a songwriter and they got you writing jingles for the school play, write that jingle like it's a Grammy Award winning thing. So work ethic is everything.
That's awesome. I wish we had more time for questions, but they give me the red light that we're over time. But all right, just one last yes.
What's the fun thing about your job? What's fun? What are the fun things that you get to do with your job?
Yep. The fun thing for me is I get to really meet amazing people and I get to travel a lot. I'm so thankful for my career because, you know, I know a lot of people don't like what they do and I actually love it. So for me, it is, you know, seeing it all come together, traveling, you know, each event I do, I take time to have fun. Yeah, it's hard work, but it's a lot of fun for me, honestly. Mm-hmm.
Same thing, travel, amazing people, Black excellence every day. Mama, I met Angela Bassett.
You know, Angela Bassett did the thing.
She did the thing.
Yeah. Y'all didn't see that? No, nobody laughed. Oh man. Well, that's our time, y'all.
Can
Let's
I
give
say
it up
one
one more
thing?
time.
Can I say
Huh?
one last thing?
Yeah, sure.
I just wanted to thank the ladies of Sigma Gamma Rho
Yes.
for coming out. I
At the
became an
yes.
honorary member, so thank you, ladies.
Yes, Indiana love, Indiana love.
Eagle Pride.
Eagle Pride. That's right.